Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling. In the city that never truly sleeps, art and darkness once shared the same address. Behind the shimmering glass of Beijing's Chihow Art Museum, a place once praised for innovation, lay a corridor that erased souls in the name of beauty. They called it a gallery of perfection. But tonight we unveil the truth, that what the world admired as art was built on screams no one was allowed to hear. And the man who escaped that nightmare may still hold the key to everything. Stay with us, this is not just a story. This is a confession carved in silence. The Chihow Art Museum once stood as a beacon of modern art and sophistication, a shining temple of human creativity in Beijing's heart. It was the kind of place where critics whispered in awe and collectors competed for invitations, believing that what was shown inside transcended the ordinary and touched the divine. Yet behind that glossy facade lay something entirely different. It was not a place of creation but of erasure. It was not where art was born, but where humanity quietly bled. Menglong, beloved by millions for his calm grace and unpretentious smile, was one of those who believed in art's power to inspire. He was preparing for a charity concert that summer, exhausted from rehearsals but still determined to bring warmth to others. Cameras later captured him near the museum one quiet August night. He looked fragile, thin, yet somehow radiant. A man still holding onto the light even as the shadows gathered. That was the last time he was ever seen in public. Hours later, his car disappeared from surveillance routes. No one noticed at first. The city was too busy celebrating new exhibitions, too entranced by beauty to sense the tragedy forming in its midst. What happened next was silence. A silence that stretched like a curtain drawn over truth. Journalists received brief statements. His agency released nothing. People in the industry avoided the topic, as though his name had become untouchable. But behind closed doors, rumors began to circulate, whispers of after-hours shipments, strange visitors, and rooms that never appeared on the museum's blueprints. Some said the air conditioning never stopped running at night, others that the walls of one corridor were always cold to the touch. No one dared to connect these fragments, not yet. To the public, the Chihow Museum remained a sanctuary of progress. To those who knew more, it had begun to smell faintly of fear. The veil of beauty is seductive. It invites admiration, disarms suspicion, and conceals everything that does not fit the picture. Beneath its brilliance, even the purest souls can vanish without leaving a trace. And as the city slept that August night, the boundary between art and cruelty dissolved, leaving only the echo of applause for a masterpiece that should never have existed. Beneath the polished marble floors and dazzling exhibitions of the Chihow Art Museum lay a truth that could never survive daylight. The corridor, known to staff only as Red 7, was not listed on any map, nor mentioned in any report. It was a place built for secrecy, its walls thick with soundproof insulation, its air unnaturally cold, as if the building itself refused to breathe. This was where Menglong spent his final days, not as an artist, but as the subject of a performance he never chose to give. Under the sterile glare of surgical lamps, he was instructed to stand still while a gloved hand brushed something transparent across his skin. It wasn't makeup. It wasn't art. It was a synthetic film, thin and suffocating, that clung to every inch of him until his body became a living sculpture. From behind the camera, a soft voice commanded him to breathe in rhythm with the process. "Let the art move through you," it said. But each breath came with a tremor of pain. Each pause between inhalations was a moment of silent rebellion. He was no longer an actor, no longer a man with dreams and friends and laughter. He had been reduced to material, a surface to be studied, painted, modified. In those moments, the distinction between creation and destruction dissolved. His heartbeat was wired to machines, translating each pulse into flickers of light on a vast silk screen above ground. Visitors who watched the projection gasped at its realism. They marveled at the illusion of a breathing canvas, unaware that it was sustained by the pain of another human being. The applause above masked the muffled cries below. What they called innovation was, in truth, endurance disguised as elegance. No one questioned the authenticity of the work because the illusion was perfect. Every artist seeks truth, but the people behind this experiment sought ownership instead. To them, beauty was something to capture, not to honor, to control, not to feel. For Yu, the struggle was no longer about escaping the room but about protecting what little remained of his soul. Each moment under the lights became both a performance and a plea, a final act of resistance from a man who refused to let cruelty define his humanity. Beneath the surface, art had turned to ash, and a life meant for creation was being dismantled in silence. What the investigators uncovered later was not merely corruption, but an entire economy built upon agony. Within encrypted archives labeled as artistic research, there existed a network of buyers and curators who trafficked in suffering as though it were a precious commodity. Each installation from the Chihow Museum was catalogued, priced, and auctioned in secret gatherings held across Shanghai, Seoul, and Zurich. The names of the works were poetic: Purity No. 4, Echo Skin, The Silent Heartbeat, but their beauty masked horror. What collectors purchased was not paint or sculpture, but a person's torment, packaged and sanitized as avant-garde innovation. Yu Menglong's body had become the core of this grotesque market. His every tremor and breath was converted into data and sold as living art, projected in private galleries where the rich drank champagne before flickering screens that pulsed to the rhythm of his heart. They applauded the realism without realizing, or perhaps without caring, that the realism was real. The installation's glow was sustained by his pain, each contraction of muscle creating patterns of light that mesmerized its audience. They saw transcendence where there was only torture. The documents spoke coldly of value chains, asset transfers, and specimen integrity, language that stripped away humanity until suffering became a measurable unit. One leaked memo written like a medical report read, Subject 07 external shell extraction complete. Asset transferred. To those within the circle, asset did not mean property, it meant flesh. It was a transaction where empathy had been erased, and morality replaced with profit margins. Beneath this web of commerce was a belief older than the museum itself, the ritual of purity transfer. In that doctrine, the preserved skin of an untainted soul could shield the bearer from spiritual consequence. For those who feared judgment but refused repentance, purity could be bought. Yu, with his reputation for kindness and humility, embodied the perfect vessel for their delusion. He was their insurance against guilt, a scapegoat wrapped in innocence. In the end, the market of pain thrived because the world mistook cruelty for creation. The buyers were not monsters from myths but men in tailored suits, people who once sponsored scholarships, exhibitions, and charity balls. They smiled, toasted art, and congratulated themselves for elevating the human experience, never realizing that what they celebrated was the systematic desecration of a man's humanity. By the time authorities intervened, the evidence was almost gone. The museum's website disappeared overnight. Staff were transferred or rewarded. Even the crematorium worker who handled Yu's supposed remains noticed something was off. The skin was too smooth, too cold, too light. The official report was barely 2 sentences long. No photo. No autopsy. No closure. Within weeks, the site was fenced off under the label, structural renovation. But locals say that even today, when the wind passes through Chaoyang's empty streets, they still hear the faint hum of machinery, as if the art never stopped breathing. Then came the final twist. At 2:17 a.m., a man named Chen Zhen, Yu's longtime manager, boarded a flight from Beijing to Taipei with nothing but a small briefcase. Inside, rumors say, were contracts, ledgers, and evidence linking the museum to a web of investors and political donors. CCTV footage captured him glancing back once before disappearing through Gate 17. He never returned. His name was erased from every record. But his last message to a colleague read only 2 words. He's alive. Perhaps it wasn't just a crime but a warning. A mirror showing how the pursuit of beauty can devour humanity itself. How fame can turn artists into property, and pain into profit. Yu Menglong's story reminds us that in every society, when silence becomes more valuable than truth, we all lose something human. And somewhere beyond the city's glow, the last heartbeat of that art still echoes. not as horror, but as a reminder that compassion is the only masterpiece that lasts. If this story moved you, don't let it fade into silence. Like, share, and subscribe to Update X24H, where truth and humanity matter more than spectacle. Thank you for standing with us, and for keeping these voices alive. Because sometimes the most powerful act of resistance is simply to remember.